Amy and I'm the Respitality Coordinator here at Shared Care Scotland. Respitality in Scotland is one of the leading social tourism movements in the country, and we work hard to provide energising and meaningful short breaks from routine for those with caring responsibilities. We are celebrating 10 years of operating Respitality this year, and to celebrate, we've launched a limited series podcast to talk with some of our Respitality supporters over the past decade.
And I'm Kerry, I'm the Respitality Manager at Shared Care Scotland, and each episode over the coming months has a special theme connected to Respitality. In this episode, we're talking to one of our amazing donors. Now, in the past 10 years, we've connected with over 800 businesses and charities willing to donate a break free of charge. And Grant Perez of IDILQ is one of our amazing supporters since 2017. Thank you very much for joining us, Grant, today.
Thank you for having me. We started in 2012 with a charity called Give Us Time. Give Us Time is a charity for military personnel and their families, many of which are suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder and or physical injuries. It gives the military personnel an opportunity to spend a week away with their family at one of our resorts. The charity was founded by Sir William Fox, who was former Defence Secretary of the UK. The idea being that military personnel obviously are away for long periods of time, and it gives them a chance to reconnect with the family and generally create some wonderful and hopefully everlasting memories, which is really our raison d'etre throughout. In 2016, I was asked to roll this out to other charities, which is how we came to meet you guys. The majority of the charities we started working with then or donating to were children's charities, charities for kids with serious disabilities and life-limiting conditions. The idea, again, being to give the families a chance to make some very precious memories with those kids, share some happy times away from hospital visits, and all the things that coincide with these very serious conditions. One or both of the parents have had to give up work because they're caring full time for a sick child. Subsequently means you've got a lot of intelligent, articulate families that could be making a really good living that are seriously struggling, and the idea of taking a holiday is the furthest thing from their mind. It gives us the opportunity to give them a break, make those memories, and in some cases, it'll be the last holiday that they have with the child. We work with bereavement charities as well, where a family that's lost a child, a young parent or sibling have an opportunity to find a little bit of solace after the passing of their loved one. And of course, carers, and in many cases, the charities that we're working with besides Shared Care Scotland and Carers Trust are already carers themselves. I guess there's sort of a fair amount of crossover in that respect. The program has been amazing. It's touched the heart of literally everyone in our organization. Just wonderful, grateful guests you can imagine having at your hotels and resorts, and just a pleasure to get to know, bring a little bit of hopefully joy, and impacted us so much that we created Kind Holidays as a blueprint or template. I call it an open source website, holidays.com, where other hoteliers can see what we've done. But it's also got links, for instance, to yourselves, so that if any of the hoteliers want to make direct contact with you guys and institute their own program, that they can do. You're going to see an amazing increase in staff pride. Therefore, your team will work better, work harder, be more loyal, and you'll find recruitment easier. A lot of people generally, but in particular the younger generations, are looking to work for companies that do something other than make money. And this is a phenomenal way of really motivating your team. And any hoteliers that are watching, please go to kindholidays.com and have a look at some of the videos and our blueprints. It's there for you.
Thanks for that, Grant. And I think we were saying before we started recording that I think one of the things that I admire about you most, Grant, is that you've just got such passion for what you do, and it's never just been a secular thing where it's just been what IDILQ want to get out of it. You're forever wanting to push forward and be a trailblazer for other hoteliers to say, this is just such an easy, why wouldn't everybody be doing this type of model? And we've chatted off the back of before this podcast about events you've went to and chatted to people and things like that. How do you feel people receive the idea of Kind Holidays and that sort of that social tourism type of idea where hoteliers can get on board? Do you find that they are very receptive to it, or?
Absolutely, and obviously depends on the individual that you're talking to. Our group is a franchisee of Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. Wyndham owns a number of top brands of the biggest hotel franchise operator in the world. Ramada is one of them, and most of our resorts are badged either Wyndham or Ramada. Their president for EMEA, Dimitris Manikos, has been a huge supporter and an ally in the drive to get other hoteliers on board. And back in February of last year, I was invited to speak at a one-day seminar that they were holding for hotel owners and general managers. And I got probably the best slot, the one after the day in the main hall, just before dinner, whilst everybody was having drinks and starting to relax a bit. And I had the opportunity to tell them about Kind Holidays and show them a short 5-minute video, which is, if I say so myself, incredibly impactful. It tells the story of some of the families that have holidayed with us, including a mum and her older son who had a last holiday with her younger son before he passed. She's now planning to return to our resort on the Costa del Sol to scatter his ashes in the sea in front of the resort where they made their most precious memories watching the sunrise. You can see the kind of impact it has. At the end of that video, I had a look around and about a quarter of the room were in tears. It's very sad judging my level of success by how many people I could get to tears. And the video does a great job of that. Joking aside, the feeling is if it hits them in the heart, they're going to relate to it. It's something incredibly easy to relate to. And when you think about the cost, particularly if all they're doing is giving away off-season space, it's the cost of housekeeping. And in exchange for that, you've got a more motivated, hard-working team that's easier to recruit from and retain. Just going back to your question, at that event after I spoke, people were still mingling and starting to have dinner. It was a stand-up dinner, sort of buffet style. And I approached a gentleman who I'd seen as one of the speakers previously in the day. He manages about 50 or 60 hotels for a big fund. He was perhaps the most eloquent speaker of the day, most learned. And he was talking to a couple of gentlemen. And as I pulled him aside, he said he was going to approach me, but as I've approached him, and his voice started to crack. And he said, look, my wife and I lost my daughter last year. We're obviously devastated by that. This program is a no-brainer for me. And it's instances like that where obviously somebody who has an experience as awful and traumatic as that, this is going to make a lot of sense. And whereas he's successful in his own right, most parents, I suspect, that are in that position either fall to pieces, wouldn't have been working anyway, pushing for the general public to start calling on their favorite hoteliers and ask them to have a look at the blueprint, the website, and see if they can institute something themselves, even if it's a couple of weeks a year, to do something and to start to feel the impact of these holidays and to deal with these families who are amazing to be dealing with. If the public, please speak to your favorite hotel or hotels and tell them we'll be an even more loyal customer if you guys start doing this. And on the flip side, have a look 6 months later if they're not doing it and tell them you're going to take your business elsewhere.
Giving away all the tricks of the trade here, Grant. I love it. I think it's a good point that you make. Sorry, Amy, on you go.
No, on you go. You go.
I was just going to say it's a good point that you make about, as like you say, as traumatic as that gentleman's experience had been. I think these experiences of, say, grief or the fact that maybe somebody goes into a caring role and it's completely unexpected as well can be such a leveler for people, because it's definitely something that happens to the more people than we know, and it doesn't discriminate. You can be at the top of your game in your career and have all the money in the world, but you're never going to be, this can still happen to people is what I'm trying to say. I think you're right. We've had similar experiences, I think, Amy, haven't we, when we've chatted to people at events, and sometimes people don't even realise that they're in that situation until you start talking about these things as well, or it triggers something in them where it's been a situation of grief that they go, actually, this is something that I need to get involved in because I realise how passionate I feel about it. I can imagine those conversations must be quite uplifting and real connections with people.
Absolutely. What I'm realising is this is becoming more an educational initiative, because I'm sure if every hotel owner, general manager knew about this program, they would at least look at it, never mind adopt it. But it's just people aren't aware that hotels are doing these kinds of things. And we're looking to trial another program fairly soon with Caldwell Children. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Caldwell. He set up this charity for children and young people with autism. They built a £19 million centre in the north of England, which puts all the specialists in different areas relating to autism into one location, and allows a family to get a plan of how to help their child in a matter of a few weeks or months, rather than visiting multiple doctors and specialists in different areas who never talk to one another. And what we're now looking to do is give younger people that have autism an opportunity to come down to our resort in the Costa del Sol, spend 4 days out of 7, 4 to 5 hours a day, working in a single or a number of different departments, where it's anything from housekeeping to gardening to the restaurant. It all depends on what their personal preferences. There'll be a menu of different departments that they could work in, and their parent or carer could join them for the first day or for all 4 days. But it gives the whole family a chance to have a break. It gives the young person a chance to hopefully find an area of the business that they really enjoy, and to perhaps create a career out of hospitality and hoteliering. The idea also being, if they've got something on their CV, builds their confidence. We've just launched Kind Holiday Spain, where Spanish young people have a go at working with us and then find that they have a lifelong career with our organization. So that's fantastic. One thing that we're looking at doing in the future, but there are many other ways that people are using their hotel space to do good. There was an article in Forbes magazine in Christmas 2023 where the Kind Holidays Initiative featured. They talked about a hotel in New York City. It's a big 4 or 5 star hotel. The hotel is very near to a major children's hospital, and they are housing parents of kids that are in hospital that live too far away to be able to commute. Mm-hmm. And if your child's undergoing weeks of therapy, even a few days of therapy, and you can't afford to stay near them, that must be the most awful situation to be in. And this hotel has opened their doors and their hearts and is accommodating these parents. Marriott, I understand, and the American Lodging Association is working with the FBI that when they go and break up a criminal gang who are trafficking women, where do you house the women? You can't put them in an FBI holding cell. They've opened up their doors to housing these ladies until they found a permanent solution. Getting other hoteliers to open up their minds about what's possible.
It's really interesting.
Everything to me, Grant, is so passionate, and I can really hear your passion coming through and all that you do, and it's so interesting as well. To me, it sounds like the work that you do is ever evolving, ever changing, depending on the needs of those that you're supporting, and it's interesting to hear, and it sounds like that continues to be the case as well for future, is that the opportunities are endless. And I think what I really hear is about that inspiration, about wanting to inspire other hoteliers that this is what you could do, this is what it could like, here's how we could help people. And I think the question for me around what you're doing and then your links with Respitality is you're already offering so much support, Grant, you're already doing so much for so many. I wonder what's motivated you then to partnership with Respitality when you're already doing all these other things. I was curious about that.
Well, we have a hotel up in Scotland, Wyndham Duckley Country Estate, yep, which is next door to Glen Eagles. It's obviously in your part of the world. It's a great opportunity for carers to recharge. They normally wouldn't have the opportunity due to financial constraints. Lovely grounds, swimming pool, restaurants, all the stuff that you expect, including a distillery, a small one. But actually, when we went out to work with charities, one of our biggest challenges, particularly where most of our resorts and our accommodation is abroad, was finding charities that could supply the other elements of the holiday, which is the flight, and in some cases spending money or grant. It's also complicated in some situations by travel insurance. Obviously, when you have a very sick individual, specifically ones with life-limiting conditions, the insurance can make it cost prohibitive. It can be 2, 3, 4 times the price of the accommodation and flights. Working with charities that want international travel, it's far more limited than those looking for accommodation within driving distance. And obviously working with you guys, being based in Scotland, having a resort in Scotland really makes it convenient, easy to organise, and something actually that we've realised might be a stumbling block for other hoteliers. And this has come about really conversation with Dimitri Manikos at Wyndham. I met with Dimitri and Jackie Brown, his number 2, about 6 weeks ago, and I'm happy to announce that Wyndham are going to be appointing an individual to essentially roll out Kind Holidays to their 5 biggest markets within the EMEA region. So holidays will be launching shortly in Germany, India, Turkey, Romania, and to the wider part of the UK, other than what we've been doing. And the difference there is they will be getting hoteliers in that country to touch base and form relationships with charities within the country. So you can have a holiday and you don't need to necessarily fly. Local hotels providing space to charities in that same country. It's a great way forward, and hopefully something that will catch fire. Our goal is that Wyndham has, I think it's 700 hotels in the EMEA region. If we can get 10% of them on board, that would be 70. Each of them is providing, 20 weeks of holiday a year. You can start to see the numbers really add up. Likewise, once they're on board, we'll then go, hopefully after a major location, which is the US, where they have got about 7,000 hotels. And with that, we hope that Hilton, Marriott, IHG, and all the major hotel players will suit. And to the public, let your favorite hoteliers know, send the link to this podcast to them, just give them a push, because most of them, I'm sure, will be interested. They just don't know about these types of programs, haven't thought about it.
I think you're right with that. And I think it's so inspiring to hear. It sounds like you're on the course for global domination, Grant, and we are ready to join you. Aren't we? It's just fantastic. It's the most kindest message I think you could ever spread is about Kind Holidays and the work that you are doing, and how it's just inspiring other hotels to get involved with this type of work as well. And it's just fantastic to hear, and I love hearing you sort of plug it and encourage people to get involved and keep spreading the word about this stuff, for sure.
Hoteliers have been big to jump on. I wouldn't like to call it greenwashing. We all want to be more conscious of doing harm to our planet, but this program in particular is something that's unique to our industry. When you talk about global domination, the big dream for us would be that we have the airlines on board, restaurants, that the entire hospitality industry, taxi services, car rental firms, every element that makes up a holiday will have companies contributing. And ultimately, the families in our societies that are struggling the most, that are dealing with the most awful kinds of trauma, will be able to go and find a bit of solace and a break and create those most precious of memories. It's letting them know about it. It's something that should be so natural, because it costs next to nothing for most of them. The cost of housekeeping, they don't need to do a daily clean necessarily. They could do one every 3 days or even just once. And in return, for so many of those organizations that are run by accountants that are looking specifically at numbers, all they need to do is look at their retention rates of staff after year 2 or 3 compared with the previous years, or look at the increase in productivity. It becomes so apparent. I mentioned the mum and her 2 boys. The son that passed was 7 years old when he was at the resort. He was in a specially adapted wheelchair to go on the beach. He was immobile. One of our hotel porters, off his own back, went with them at, I think it must have been about 6:30 in the morning, because it was in the summer, and helped wheel him onto the beach, and then sat with the mum and the 2 boys watching the sunrise together. He wasn't paid for that. He wasn't asked to do that. It was done off of his own back. And I'm sure it touched him in a way that his job would never have touched him before. And that is what we're looking for your staff to find meaning in what they're doing. It just increases their productivity, pride, and joy in what they're doing themselves, to see that we're helping people do things that they would not have been able to dream about before.
I can understand now why a quarter of that room were crying at that event, because listening to that story, I'm really trying to hold it back, because I think you're right. I think it's so hard to put that into words about what it means, for what an honour that must have been from that porter that was helping there. That'll stay with him forever. It's not just about the people that are accessing the break, it's about the people that are involved in being able to provide the break. And I think you can't put a price on that, and that story in and of itself actually just speaks volumes about that absolute privilege that porter, and that's just that person's story. I imagine there was a lot of people at the resort that were touched in many other ways as well, like you say, that would never have had that emotion for any other parts of their work, but through this particular break. And I remember seeing the video that you and heard from that mother about her experience of her break with Kind Holidays, and it's just wonderful that she's able to speak about that and show people what it meant to them as well. And obviously it's meant so much to them that they're keen to go back and have that sort of last memory of spreading the ashes of their son as well. And that is just, I think we are very lucky in the work that we work in, that we get to meet such inspiring people like that.
That really is a privilege to be able to work with these families. And it's something that you realize early on. Scotty Darragh, who's a soldier, was one of the first recipients with Give Us Time of a break with us. Scotty has PTSD and physical injuries as well, sustained during his service in Northern Ireland and Bosnia. And Scotty had a hell of a time. He went from alcohol to heroin, attempted suicide on multiple occasions. And he credits the holiday he had with us, him and his wife, as having clicked everything sort of back into place again. If you were to look back at your life towards the end of your life and thought about your happiest moments, I wonder how many of them would be on those holidays that you took. And I think the fewer holidays you have, the stronger and more vivid those memories are. I get a chance to have an annual holiday with my kids. I'm very thankful for it. And it is the most precious times I spend with them. These families don't get that opportunity. Some of them will never have an opportunity to holiday with their child. They're in the most difficult financial constraints. Some of them can't afford to put food on the table. Going on holiday is the furthest thing from their mind.
And I guess, like, from our perspective, working with you guys with the Duckley site, Wyndham Duckley, has been fantastic, because it's just been such an easy process. I think from both sides, it's been very much, here's the allocation, here's what we've got, here's how you book it. And it is just so simple for our team, but also for the guests that are experiencing it as well. They just literally have to turn up with their confirmation letter, and that's it. They don't have to worry about organising anything, going back and forward. But even from our perspective, booking the break on the carer's behalf, it's so simple. It's literally one email to the amazing Pedro, and that's it, and it goes.
I get to play Father Christmas, the holiday Father Christmas, and send out emails with the allocation to all the different charities. And then you guys vet the recipients that come forward. And then you simply email across to Pedro reservations, and he organizes an email that goes directly to them. It is that simple. Thank you for bringing it up.
No problem. If you feel like Santa, then we definitely feel like the kids on Christmas morning when the email comes through, the allocations, let me tell you, because whenever we offer out these breaks through Duckley, they get snapped up so quickly, and we always get such fantastic feedback from carers that access it. And actually, on that note, we've got a wee bit of a surprise for you. We've got a bit of, whenever we get feedback from carers, we always share it. We always tend to get it through email or through quarterly reports and stuff. We'll get some really great feedback from carers that have benefited. And we were actually speaking to a carer very recently about her experience of staying with Duckley, and she offered to send in a nice little video message for you. I'm just going to share that with you just now.
Hi Grant, I'm Carly. When we were offered a Respitality break of 7 days, we couldn't believe it. We've not had a holiday in 7 years, and we were excited to be offered this. We went for the week commencing the 30th of November in 2024, and due to our caring roles, we were a bit nervous about how we could manage a full week away, but we were determined to make the absolute most of it. The highlights for me, apart from the generosity and kindness of companies who give these breaks to carers, was the peace and quiet, and the full night's sleep, of course, which was bliss. The surroundings and facilities at Duckley Lodges were amazing. Everything was perfect, and because the break was offered so close to home, it allowed us to have a lot of flexibility to go back and forward here and there to support our cared for person. Thank you so much, Grant, for being the person that facilitates these amazing breaks for carers. I just can't find the words to put across our gratitude for this kindness. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you for that. You got me welling up now. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. I mean, that's what makes it all worthwhile. We do get lovely messages and emails across, and I share them. We've got a WhatsApp group for our senior team, and I regularly post on that. I try to post it on a Monday morning, so it gives everybody a great boost to the week. And it does. In fact, would you mind if I shared an email with you that goes back a few years? This is from a recipient of a holiday, has a child with cystic fibrosis. And again, back when they went on holiday, they weren't expected to be with their child for very long. Again, it was this life-limiting condition. The letter was written by a lovely father called Alistair Wissam after their family had a holiday at our resort in Orlando. Sadly, Casey was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease shortly before our trip. This is to go along with the cystic fibrosis. Given her existing health conditions, it was understandably difficult for her to cope, and she became down and unhappy. However, a couple of weeks before our departure, we noticed a remarkable change in her. She quickly transformed from sadness to excitement and happiness that seemed to overflow. Upon arriving in America, she repeatedly expressed disbelief and the sense that it was all too good to be true. Every day of the holiday was filled with activities, sights, and joy. Casey, who's usually shy and hesitant, blossomed before our eyes. She fearlessly went on rides she would never have considered, surpassing our energy levels. We can honestly say that we've never seen her so relaxed, enthusiastic, and genuinely happy. The memories we created as a family during those 2 weeks are beyond precious. They serve as a reminder to Katie and all of us that life extends far beyond hospitals, medicines, and treatments. In the difficult days that undoubtedly lie ahead, we will cherish the moments that we laughed until we cried, got soaked on rides, witnessed breathtaking fireworks, evaded zombies through the streets of Universal Studios, and watched the sunset on the most beautiful beach we've ever stood on. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving us the opportunity to see Katie smile every day as if she didn't have a worry in the world.
Oh my gosh, that's lovely, isn't it? And that's really what it's about.
You can really you can feel how amazing it was for the family from what they've said. You can really feel it.
I think it was that part you said about she could see beyond the hospital appointments, and you thought, gosh, because that's what her whole life would be. That would be what mainly was going on in her life. And I think, isn't that such a fantastic position to be able to offer that for her to give them the memories? You can't.
That is an ongoing theme. We keep seeing over and over again how it's a break from the hospital appointments and the everyday struggles that these families have to go through, that most of us are fortunate enough not to go through. And you can see the impact there. And it's not just on the parents. In many cases, they have a sibling, and those siblings, for no fault of their own or their parents, don't get the same level of attention that the sick sibling does, because unfortunately that's the situation, that they then get a chance to all be together, to all be enjoying that time together. And that's what it's all about. Hoteliers, get on board, please.
Honestly,
I think people find it hard not to get involved after everything you've said today. There needs to be a very good reason. I don't know what that would be.
That's why when you asked me earlier, what would you say to somebody that said, well, I'm thinking about it? Well, I'd read them that letter, ask them to just read that letter, or watch the video with Sarah or Scotty and or one of the many other families that have given their time to have a short interview with us. You can see what these mean. And it is, these memories, holidays are priceless for these families. And for us, it's the cost of housekeeping. It's a no-brainer. It really is. Yeah. If you look at one of our videos, you'll see a letter from Princess Anne to other hoteliers saying exactly what we've been saying here. Anyway, she got up on stage and she was doing a speech about the 50th anniversary of Carers Trust, and obviously her being the president and founder. And then at one point, she looked over at me and started to go to a section of her speech about the importance of Respitality for carers and others. And that was wow. We have an ally here. And I think the more people we can get on board, the more voices. If by chance there are any very well-known individuals watching this, put the links to our site on your Instagram, your Twitter, or TikTok, or whatever it is, and just spread the word, because I'm sure if hoteliers just read that letter from Alistair Wissam, they'll try the program out, or they'll create their own. It's not a program. You don't need to join anything. This isn't a charity. We are an initiative. It's an idea. It's a blueprint for you to be able to go and do your own thing. And trust me, you won't turn back once you started.
Well, thank you very much, Grant. I think, like you say, if people listen to this episode and don't sign up, then I don't think they've got a beating heart inside of them, because there's no other way you could pursue. We're part of it, and I'm already thinking, what more can I do? I want to do more. You've inspired me. I think that would be a really nice way for us to sort of finish up the episode. I just want to say a massive thank you, Grant, for joining us today, for everything that you and the team IDILIQ and at Kind Holidays have done for carers through Respitality over the years. Hundreds of carers have benefited from it, including Caroline that you heard from earlier there. And again, a nice wee plug for you, anyone that wants to know more about Kind Holidays, kindholidays.com. And you've also got all over the socials, so if you just search up Kind Holidays, it'll come up there as well. If anyone wants to hear any more or talk to Grant, or he'll make you cry as well if you speak to him directly. That's your skill. That's your absolute skill now.
How to make people cry in 5 minutes. Yeah. Thank you guys. Really, thank you for organising for these carers to stay at our resorts, because I know Rafa, hotel manager over at Duckley, they are the most wonderful, grateful, fantastic guests you could have in your properties. Thank you for sending them to us.
That's our pleasure.
And happy birthday. Pleasure.